The lights flickered in the lower decks of Station Themis 7. Hana wiped down the metal counter of her small kitchen with a worn cloth. The station was quiet tonight. Most of the beings who usually came for food had already eaten and left. She looked at the pots of soup cooling on the stove and sighed. There would be leftovers again. Hana ran a relief center in the forgotten parts of the station. The upper decks had fancy restaurants and trading posts where wealthy aliens made deals worth millions. Down here, refugees and the displaced came looking for a warm meal and a kind word. She didn't have much, but she shared what she had. The station shook slightly as another ship docked somewhere above. Hana barely noticed anymore. Ships came and went all the time. Themis 7 sat on the edge of space where multiple territories met. It was neutral ground, which meant everyone came here to trade, hide, or just pass through. She was putting away the last of the bowls when she heard it. A sound. Soft and strange. It came from near the waste recyclers at the end of the corridor. Hana paused, listening. There it was again. A clicking noise, followed by something that sounded almost like crying. Hana grabbed a small light and walked toward the sound. The corridor was dark and smelled of rust and recycled air. She moved carefully, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The crying grew louder. It was definitely crying, she realized. But it didn't sound human. She turned the corner, and her light fell on something small huddled against the wall. At first, she thought it was trash. Then it moved. Hana gasped and stepped back. The creature looked up at her with multiple black eyes that reflected her light. It had dark, shiny skin like polished stone, and small mandibles near its mouth that clicked together nervously. It was a Vokrin child. Hana's heart pounded. The Vokrin were known across the galaxy as warriors. They were big, strong, and dangerous. Their adults stood twice as tall as humans and could tear through metal with their claws. But this one was small, barely reaching her knee if it stood up, and it was terrified. The child made a whimpering sound and pressed itself harder against the wall. Hana could see it was hurt. Dark fluid, probably blood, stained its carapace. Its whole body shook. "Hey," Hana said softly. She knelt down slowly, making herself smaller. "Hey. It's okay. I won't hurt you." The Vokrin child stared at her. It probably didn't understand her words, but maybe it could understand her tone. Hana kept her voice calm and gentle. She had learned long ago that fear was the same in every language. "Are you lost?" she asked. "Where's your family?" The child's mandibles clicked rapidly. It tried to back away, but there was nowhere to go. Hana noticed how thin it looked. When was the last time it ate? She sat down on the cold floor, keeping her distance. "You're hungry, aren't you? I have food. Would you like some food?" The child watched her, but didn't move. Hana stood up slowly and walked back to her kitchen. She could feel those black eyes following her. She grabbed a bowl and filled it with the leftover stew. It was made for humanoid species, but food was food, right? When she returned, the child was still there. It hadn't run away. That was something. Hana set the bowl down on the floor between them and pushed it gently toward the child. Then she sat back and waited. The Vokrin child looked at the bowl. It leaned forward and sniffed. Its mandibles opened slightly, then closed. It pulled back and made a sad clicking sound. It wouldn't eat. Hana frowned. Why wouldn't it eat? She thought about what she knew of the Vokrin species. Not much, if she was honest. They kept to themselves mostly. But she remembered reading something once in a medical file. Vokrin children needed certain minerals in their food. Their bodies couldn't process regular food properly without them. "Wait here," she told the child. She hurried back to her supply closet and searched through her medical supplements. She had mineral compounds for different species. Her fingers found a container labeled for silicon-based life forms. That might work. Back in the corridor, the child was still there, still shaking. Hana took the bowl back to her kitchen and heated it up again. She added a portion of the mineral supplement and stirred it in. The soup changed color slightly, becoming darker. She tasted it carefully. It was salty and had a metallic tang, but it wasn't bad. This time, when she offered the bowl, the child sniffed it differently. Its mandibles opened wider. Slowly, carefully, it reached out and pulled the bowl closer. It dipped its mandibles in and drank. The clicking sounds it made changed, becoming softer, almost happy. Hana smiled. Good? The child drank all of the soup. When it finished, it looked at her again. The fear in its eyes hadn't completely gone away, but it was less. Hana could see the child better now in the light. It was very young, probably the equivalent of a human 5-year-old, and it was covered in dirt and scratches. Come on, Hana said, standing up. Let's get you cleaned up. She didn't know if the child would follow. But when she started walking back to her quarters, she heard small footsteps behind her. The Vokrin child was following her, keeping a careful distance. Hana's home was just one room with a bed, a small table, and a bathroom. It wasn't much, but it was warm. She filled a basin with warm water and found a soft cloth. The child stood in the doorway, watching everything. It's okay, Hana said. I just want to clean your wounds. She showed the child the cloth and the water. Slowly, the child came closer. Hana dampened the cloth and very gently started cleaning the dirt from the child's carapace. The child flinched at first, but then held still. Up close, Hana could see that the black shell was actually beautiful, with patterns that caught the light. As she cleaned, she noticed something. On the child's upper carapace, near what might be called its shoulder, there was a marking. It wasn't a scar. It looked deliberate, like a tattoo or a brand. The symbol was complex, made of curved lines that formed a pattern. Hana didn't recognize it, but it looked important. What's your name? She asked softly. The child made a series of clicking sounds. Hana couldn't understand it. She tried to repeat the sounds but failed. The child's mandibles moved in. What might have been amusement. I'll call you Taman, she said. Is that okay? Taman? The child tilted its head. It clicked softly, almost like it was trying to say the name back to her. After cleaning the wounds, Hana applied a basic medical gel that worked on most species. Then she wrapped the child in her spare thermal blanket. Taman looked tiny, buried in the fabric. The child's eyes were starting to close. You can sleep here, Hana said, pointing to her bed. I'll sleep in the chair. It's okay. You're safe now. Taman climbed onto the bed and curled up. Within minutes, the child was asleep, making small clicking sounds that might have been snoring. Hana sat in her chair and watched. She should probably report this to station security. A lost Vokrin child was serious business, but something stopped her. The way Taman had been hiding, the fear in those eyes, the wounds. This child wasn't just lost. Something bad had happened, and until she knew what, she would keep Taman safe. Outside her window, she could see ships moving in the darkness of space. Somewhere out there, someone was probably looking for this child. Hana pulled her own blanket tighter and settled in for a long night. She had no idea that her simple act of kindness was about to change everything. Hana woke to the sound of alarms. Her whole room shook. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then she remembered. She looked at her bed and saw Taman still sleeping, wrapped in the blanket. The child hadn't moved all night. The alarms got louder. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside. Hana stood up quickly and went to her small computer terminal. She pulled up the station newsfeed. What she saw made her blood run cold. A massive warship had docked with the station. Not just any warship. The Blackthorn, the flagship of the Vokrin Third Fleet. And everyone in the galaxy knew who commanded that ship. Warlord Kangdeho. Hana's hands shook as she read the reports. The Warlord himself had come to Themis 7. Station security was in panic. The news feed showed images of Vakrin soldiers moving through the upper decks, armed and dangerous. They were searching for something. Then the station's speakers crackled to life. A voice spoke. It was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. The translation software in the walls converted it to human language, but even translated, the voice carried weight and menace. I am Warlord Kang Deho, of the Vakrin Third Fleet. My heir, my only son, was taken from me 3 cycles ago during a coward's attack. He is here, on this station. I know this. Return him to me now, and you will be rewarded. Hide him, and your species will learn what true fear means. Every moment he is not returned makes my patience thinner. You have been warned. The message ended. The station fell into terrible silence. Then the chaos began. Hana could hear shouting in the corridors, people running, doors slamming. Everyone was scared. She looked at Taemin. The child was awake now, those black eyes wide and frightened. The child had heard the voice. Hana didn't need translation to understand the fear on Taemin's face. That's your father, Hana said quietly. Taemin made rapid clicking sounds and pulled the blanket tighter. The child was shaking again, just like when Hana first found him. Hana sat on the edge of the bed. This changed everything. The child she had helped wasn't just any Vakrin. He was the Warlord's son, the heir to one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, and she was hiding him in her tiny room. She should turn him in right now. It was the smart thing to do. The safe thing. If Deho found out she had been hiding his son, he might kill her. He might do worse. But when she looked at Taemin, trembling and afraid, she couldn't do it. Something was wrong here. Why was the child so scared of his own father? Why had he been alone and hurt? These questions mattered. There was a bang on her door. Hana jumped. Taemin made a frightened sound and tried to hide under the blanket. Hana, open up. It's Junho. Hana recognized the voice. Kim Junho ran one of the trading offices on the mid-levels. They weren't friends exactly, but they knew each other. She opened the door. A crack. Junho pushed his way in. He was a thin man with nervous eyes. Right now, those eyes were more nervous than usual. Have you seen the news? He asked quickly. The Warlord is here. He's tearing the station apart looking for his kid. Security says everyone has to report any Vokrin sightings. They're doing room-to-room searches. Hana. They'll be here soon. Hana stepped to the side. Junho looked past her and saw Taemin on the bed. His face went pale. No, he whispered. No. 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 Hana. Tell me that's not what I think it is. He was hurt and alone, Hana said. I helped him. That's the heir. Junho's voice rose. That's the Warlord's son. Do you have any idea what you've done? I helped a scared child. You've put us all in danger. Junho grabbed her arm. You have to turn him in right now, before they find out you were hiding him. Maybe they'll show mercy if you cooperate. Hana pulled her arm free. Look at him, Junho. He's terrified. Something isn't right here. I don't care what's right. I care about living. Junho moved toward the bed, but Hana stepped between him and Taemin. No, she said firmly. You're insane. Junho said. When the Warlord finds out, and he will find out, he'll kill you. He might kill all of us. Every human. On this station. Then I'll turn Taemin in myself, Hana said. But I'll do it properly. I'll make sure he's safe. Safe? He's the Warlord's heir. He's probably safer than anyone on this station. Then why was he hiding in the waste corridors, hurt and starving? Hana shot back. Junho opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked at Taemin again. The child watched them both, understanding that they were arguing even if he couldn't understand the words. You're going to get us killed, Junho said quietly. But he didn't try to take the child. What are you going to do? Hana thought for a moment. I'm going to send a message to the Warlord. To here. A message? What kind of message? I'm going to tell him his son is safe, and that I'll return him personally. But only in a neutral space, with proper terms. Junho stared at her like she had grown a second head. You're going to make demands of the Warlord? The terror of the Outer Rim? The being who destroyed 3 planets because they refused to surrender? I'm going to make sure this child is treated right, Hana said. That's all. That's all. That's insane. Junho paced the small room. He'll never agree. He'll probably just blast this section of the station to dust. Maybe, Hana admitted. But I have to try. Junho looked at her for a long moment. Then he sighed. You're the craziest human I've ever met. But if you're really going to do this, you'll need help. You can't just send any message. It has to go through proper channels, or they'll think it's a trick. You'll help me? I'm going to regret this, Junho muttered. But yes, I have contacts in station communications. We can send a direct message to the Blackthorn. An official one. They worked quickly. Junho used his computer to compose the message, while Hana checked on Taemin. The child was calmer now, watching them work. Hana made more soup, and Taemin ate it slowly. The message was simple and direct. The Warlord's heir is safe and unharmed. He will be returned to his father personally, in a neutral meeting space of the Warlord's choosing. The child has been given food, medical care, and shelter. No harm will come to him. Junho looked at Hana. Last chance to change your mind. Hana shook her head. He pressed the button. The message transmitted up to the Blackthorn. Now, they could only wait. The wait wasn't long. 10 minutes later, every screen on the station displayed the same image. Warlord Kang Daeho himself. Standing on the bridge of his ship. He was massive, his black carapace covered in scars from 100 battles. His eyes burned with barely controlled rage. Someone has sent me a message about my son, his translated voice boomed. If this is true, show yourself. If this is a lie or a trick, I will reduce this station to atoms and everyone on it will die. You have 1 hour to bring my heir to Cargo Bay 7. Come alone. If I sense betrayal, if my son has been harmed, the consequences will be beyond your imagination. The screen went dark. Junho turned to Hana. Cargo Bay 7. That's deep in the station. Neutral territory. Hana nodded. She knelt in front of Taemin. It's time to take you home. To your father. Are you ready? Taemin looked at her for a long moment. Then, the child reached out and touched her hand with one small claw. The gesture was gentle. Trusting. Hana stood. Let's go. I'll come with you. Junho said. To the cargo bay. I won't come in, but I'll be close. In case. In case what? In case you need someone to tell the story of the crazy human who faced down a warlord for a child who wasn't even her own species. Hana managed a small smile. Thank you. They left her quarters together. Taemin walked between them, still wrapped in the thermal blanket. The corridors were empty. Everyone else was hiding, waiting to see what would happen. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. As they walked toward Cargo Bay 7, Hana wondered if she was doing the right thing. But when she looked down at Taemin, at the trust in those black eyes, she knew she couldn't have done anything else. Whatever happened next, she had given this child kindness when he needed it most. That had to count for something. Cargo Bay 7 was huge and cold. The metal walls reached up high into darkness. Empty cargo containers lined the sides, creating shadows everywhere. Overhead lights hummed and flickered. Hana's breath made small clouds in the freezing air. She stood in the center of the bay, holding Taemin's small hand. The child pressed close to her leg, the thermal blanket still wrapped around his small body. Hana could feel him shaking. She wasn't sure if it was from cold or fear. Junho had stopped at the entrance. He gave Hana one last look, worried and scared, then stepped back into the corridor. The doors closed behind him with a heavy sound. Now Hana and Taemin were alone. They didn't wait long. The opposite doors opened with a hiss. Vokran soldiers entered first, 6 of them, moving with perfect coordination. They wore black armor that matched their natural carapaces. Each carried weapons that looked deadly. They spread out around the bay, creating a perimeter. Then he entered. Warlord Kang Dae-ho. Hana had seen images of him on screens. Those images didn't capture the reality. He was enormous, at least 3 meters tall. His carapace was thick and scarred, telling stories of countless battles. His claws could probably tear through steel. His mandibles were large and sharp, but it was his eyes that caught her attention. Multiple black eyes that seemed to see everything, miss nothing. Right now, those eyes were fixed on her with an intensity that made her want to run. But she didn't run. She stood her ground. Dae-ho moved forward slowly. Each step was deliberate, controlled. The cargo bay floor shook slightly under his weight. He stopped about 5 meters away. Hana had to tilt her head back to look at his face. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the hum of the lights and the quiet clicking of the soldier's armor. Then Dae-ho's eyes moved down. He saw Taemin. The warlord made a sound. Something between a growl and a sigh. It didn't need translation. Relief and rage mixed together. Taemin, still holding Hana's hand, made a quiet clicking sound. Father. The translation device on Hana's wrist converted. The word was small and uncertain. Dae-ho took another step forward. The soldiers raised their weapons slightly, ready for any threat. But Hana didn't move. She just kept her hand around Taemin's. You sent the message, Dae-ho said. His voice was like thunder in the enclosed space. You are human. Yes, Hana said. Her voice sounded tiny compared to his. My name is Yoon Hana. You have my heir. I found him 2 days ago. In the lower decks. He was hurt and alone. Dae-ho's eyes narrowed. And you kept him. You did not report this. You made demands of me before returning what is mine. Hana swallowed hard. Her heart was pounding so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. But she met his gaze as steadily as she could. He was scared. He needed care. I wanted to make sure he would be safe before I returned him. Safe? Dae-ho's mandibles opened wider. You question his safety with his own father? You question the safety of the heir to the Third Fleet? I question why he was alone and terrified in a waste corridor, Hana said. I question why he flinched at the sound of your voice. I question why a child so young was hurt and starving. The cargo bay went completely silent. The soldiers shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke to the warlord like this. No one questioned him. Certainly no human. Dae-ho leaned down, bringing his face closer to Hana's level. She could smell him now. Something like hot metal and stone. His eyes bore into hers. You dare much. Little human. I dare to care about a child who was suffering, Hana said. Nothing more. Dae-ho studied her for another long moment. Then he straightened and looked at his son. Taemin, he said. His voice was slightly softer now. Come here. Taemin looked up at Hana. She squeezed his hand gently and nodded. It's okay. Go to your father. The child let go of her hand slowly. He walked forward, still wrapped in the blanket, until he stood before Dae-ho. The warlord knelt down, which was probably as close to the ground as he could get. Even kneeling, he was taller than Hana. His large claws reached out and touched Taemin's carapace gently, checking for damage. He tilted the child's head up, examining his eyes. Then he paused. Dae-ho's mandibles moved close to Taemin, and he breathed in deeply, scenting his son. Dae-ho's eyes widened slightly. He looked at Hana with something new in his expression. Surprise. You fed him properly, Dae-ho said. I smell the mineral compounds. The correct ones. I didn't at first, Hana admitted. He wouldn't eat what I offered. So, I researched. I found supplements that might work. I made soup with them. Soup. Deho repeated the word, like it was foreign. You made soup for a Vokran heir. Vokran. I made soup for a hungry child, Hannah corrected. Deho turned his attention back to Taemin. He spoke in the Vokran language. Rapid clicks, and deep sounds that the translation device couldn't fully process. Taemin responded, his small voice answering his father's questions. Hannah waited. She was still scared. Deho could kill her in an instant if he chose. But she had done what she came to do. Taemin was with his father now. The conversation between father and son went on for several minutes. At one point, Taemin pointed at Hannah. Deho looked at her, then back at his son. Taemin kept talking, making gestures with his small claws. Finally, Deho stood up again. He looked at Hannah with an expression she couldn't read. My son tells me an interesting story, he said. He says you found him crying, that you offered him food and warmth, that you cleaned his wounds and gave him your own bed to sleep in, that you spoke softly and made him feel safe for the first time since he was taken. Hannah nodded. That's true. He says you did not hurt him. You did not try to use him. You simply cared for him. Yes. Why? The question was sharp, demanding. Your species and mine have been enemies. We have raided your colonies. We have killed your people. Why help my heir? Hannah thought about her answer carefully. She knew this moment mattered. But in the end, the truth was simple. Because he was a child in pain, she said, and I could help. Nothing else mattered in that moment. Nothing else. Deho made a sound, almost like a laugh but deeper. Nothing else mattered. Such simple words from a human. Do you know what we Vokran believe? We believe in strength, in dominance. The strong survive, and the weak serve. That is the natural order. Maybe, Hannah said. But being strong doesn't mean you can't also be kind. And being kind doesn't make you weak. Kindness is weakness, one of the soldiers said. Hannah looked at him. Kindness makes you vulnerable. It makes you hesitate. It makes you soft. Is that what you think? Hannah asked. Then tell me, if kindness is weakness, why did I succeed where all your strength failed? Your soldiers couldn't find Taemin. Your weapons couldn't bring him back. But a bowl of soup and a warm blanket did. The soldier had no answer. Deho looked at him, then back at Hannah. An interesting point, the warlord said. My entire fleet, all our technology, all our power, and a single human with basic supplies did what we could not. It's not about power, Hannah said. It's about what you do with it. You can use power to destroy or to protect. I chose to protect. Deho was silent for a long moment. The cargo bay felt heavy with tension. Then the warlord did something Hannah didn't expect. He inclined his head slightly, a gesture of respect. You have earned a debt, Hannah. In my culture, when someone saves the heir, they earn a life debt. This is sacred. This cannot be ignored. You may ask of me one thing, and if it is in my power, I will grant it. Hannah blinked. She hadn't expected this. A favor from a warlord? She could ask for wealth, protection, power, many things, but she thought about Taemin, scared and alone in the darkness. She thought about all the other refugees she served in her kitchen. She thought about the galaxy full of beings who saw each other as enemies. I only ask one thing, she said. Remember this moment. Remember that humans aren't warriors like you. But that doesn't make us worthless. Remember that sometimes the gentlest touch accomplishes what the strongest blow cannot. Deho stared at her. The soldiers looked at each other in confusion. This human was refusing wealth and power? She was asking for nothing but memory and consideration? You ask for nothing material. Deho said, slowly. I ask for understanding, Hannah replied. That's worth more than money. For the first time, Deho's mandibles moved in what might have been a smile. It was a frightening expression, but not entirely unfriendly. You are a strange creature, Yunhana. And perhaps that is exactly what makes you interesting. News traveled fast in space. Within hours, every station, every ship, every colony knew the story. A human woman had faced the terror of the Outer Rim. She had made demands and walked away alive. More than that, the Warlord had bowed to her. The story grew with each telling. Some said Hana had magic powers. Others said she had threatened the Warlord with secret weapons. The truth was simpler and somehow more powerful. She had shown kindness to a child. And it changed everything. 3 days after the meeting in the cargo bay, Hana was back in her kitchen on the lower decks. She was making soup as usual. But things were different now. Much different. First, there were guards outside her door. Not human guards. Vokran guards. 2 soldiers in black armor stood watch over her quarters. They had appeared the morning after she returned Taemin and hadn't left since. At first, she thought they were there to watch her, maybe punish her. But Junho had explained it differently. They're protecting you, he had said, amazed. The Warlord assigned them to keep you safe. It's an honor. A huge honor. Hana didn't feel honored. She felt nervous having warriors outside her door. But they didn't bother her. They just stood there, silent and watchful. Second, important people kept coming to see her. That's why Ambassador Park Minho was sitting at her small table right now, looking very uncomfortable on her cheap chair. Park Minho was the Human Coalition's representative for this sector. He was a careful man who wore expensive suits and always chose his words with precision. Right now, he looked like he had a headache. Miss Yoon, he said for the 3rd time, you have to understand the position this puts us in. I understand, Hana said, stirring her soup. But I don't know what you want me to do about it. B. The Warlord has been in this sector for 3 days. 3 days. He should have left by now. But he's still here. And do you know what he's doing? No, Hana said honestly. He's asking questions. About humans. About our culture. Our childcare. Our medicine. Our way of life. He's requesting meetings with our officials. He wants to understand how we think. Hana ladled soup into a bowl. Is that bad? Bad? It's unprecedented. Park Minho stood up and paced the small room. The Vokran have been hostile to us for decades. They see us as weak, barely worth their attention, and now their most powerful warlord is interested in our culture. Because of you. Because of soup. Hana couldn't help but smile a little. When you say it like that, it does sound strange. Strange doesn't begin to cover it. Park. Minho sat back down heavily. Miss Yoon. He's requesting that you attend some of these meetings. He wants you to explain human approaches to nurturing, to caring for the young. He seems to think you represent something important. I'm just a relief worker. Hana protested. You're the woman who showed the Warlord something he'd never seen before. You're important whether you like it or not. Park Minho rubbed his temples. Will you attend? Please? This could be a chance to improve human-Vokran relations. Or it could all explode in our faces. Either way, we need you there. Hana looked at her soup pot. She had refugees coming for dinner soon. People who depended on her daily meals. But she also understood that this was bigger than her routine. I'll come, she said. But I can't leave my work here unattended. We'll arrange for others to cover for you, Park Minho said quickly. Whatever you need. That's how Hana found herself in a conference room on the upper decks the next day, sitting across from Warlord Kang Daeho and several of his officers. Park Minho sat beside her, along with other human officials, but everyone kept looking at her. The room was too warm for humans but probably comfortable for Vokran. Hana felt sweat on her back, but tried not to show discomfort. Daeho sat at the head of the table, his massive form making the reinforced chair look small. Taemin was there too, sitting beside his father. The child looked better now, his wounds healed. his carapace cleaned and polished. When Taemin saw Hana enter, his mandibles clicked happily, and he waved a small claw. Hana waved back, smiling. "Yoon Hana," Daeho said. "Thank you for coming. I have questions. I'll answer what I can," Hana said. "Tell me about human children," Daeho said. "How do you raise them?" It was a strange question. Hana glanced at Park Minho, who nodded encouragingly. "Well," Hana began, "we believe children need more than just food and shelter. They need love, attention, gentle care. We talk to them, play with them, teach them through patience rather than force." "Why?" One of Daeho's officers, a Vokrin named Wu Jin, asked sharply. "Vokrin young are taught through discipline and challenge. It makes them strong. Your way sounds weak, does it?" Hana asked. "Tell me, Lord Wujin, when Taemin was lost and scared, did discipline help him? Did challenge feed him? Or did kindness and care bring him back to his father?" Wujin's mandibles clicked in annoyance, but he didn't answer. Daeho leaned forward. "Continue, Hana. We believe that children who are raised with love and security become stronger adults," Hana said. "Not just physically strong, but emotionally strong. They learn empathy, cooperation, trust. These things matter. Empathy is a weakness," Wujin said. "Is it?" Hana looked at him directly. "If you can't understand others, how do you lead them? How do you inspire loyalty? Fear might make soldiers obey, but understanding makes them fight for you willingly." The room went quiet. Daeho's eyes were fixed on Hana, and she couldn't tell what he was thinking. "My son has been different since you helped him," Daeho said finally. "He speaks of wanting to help others, to understand them. Before, he was being trained as a warrior, thinking only of strength and conquest. Now, he asks questions. Is this good or bad?" Hana chose her words carefully. "That's for you to decide. But I will say this. A leader who only knows how to destroy is limited. A leader who can also build, who understands the beings he leads, who can choose between war and peace wisely. That is a powerful leader indeed." "You suggest my son should be weak," Wujin said. "I suggest your heir should be complete," Hana replied. "Knowing when to strike is important, but knowing when not to strike is just as important. Maybe more so." Daeho made a deep rumbling sound. Was it approval or anger? Hana couldn't tell. The meeting went on for 2 hours. Daeho asked about human medicine, human psychology, human approaches to conflict resolution. Hana answered as best she could, sometimes with help from the other humans present. When it ended, Daeho stood. "You have given me much to consider, Yoon Hana. May I ask a question?" Hana said. "Speak. Why do you care? Why does this matter to you?" Daeho looked at his son. Taemin was drawing something on a datapad, content and calm. The warlord's expression softened slightly. "Because I saw the difference," Daeho said quietly. "My son was taken from me. When I got him back, I expected him to be broken, traumatized. Instead, he was calm. He spoke of you with trust and affection. A human stranger gave my heir something in 2 days that my entire fleet could not provide. Peace." He looked back at Hana. "If your way of caring can do that, then perhaps it is not weakness. Perhaps it is something we Vokrin have forgotten in our pursuit of strength." After the meeting, as Hana was leaving, Taemin ran up to her. He held out the datapad, showing his drawing. It was crude, but recognizable. A human figure offering a bowl to a small Vokrin figure. "For you," the translation device said. "Thank you." Hana knelt down and took the pad. "Thank you, Taemin. This is wonderful. Can I visit?" the child asked. "Your kitchen place?" Hana looked at Daeho, who had followed his son. The warlord nodded slowly. "If you wish it," Daeho said. "I would like that," Hana said to Taemin. "You're welcome any time." Later that evening, Hana was back in her kitchen on the lower decks, serving soup to the usual crowd of refugees. She had just finished serving an elderly alien when she heard familiar clicking sounds. Taemin entered, still accompanied by guards but moving freely. "Can I help?" Taemin asked. Hana smiled and handed him a ladle. "Of course. Let me show you how." Together, they served soup to the refugees. The beings in line were startled at first, seeing a Vokrin Heir serving them food. But Taemin was gentle and careful, and soon people relaxed. Watching Taemin learn to help others, Hana felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe the galaxy could change. Maybe different species could understand each other. Maybe kindness really could spread. It was a small thing, just a child learning to serve soup. But sometimes the smallest seeds grow into the biggest trees. 2 weeks after Taemin started helping in the kitchen, everything changed again. But this time, not everyone was happy about it. Warlord Kang Daeho made an announcement that shocked the galaxy. He was proposing a formal non-aggression treaty with the human coalition. The Vokrin Third Fleet would no longer raid human colonies. In exchange, humans would establish aid stations in Vokrin territory, providing medical care and teaching their methods of care and healing. The announcement named Yoon Hana specifically as the inspiration for this decision. A simple relief worker who showed that humans possessed value beyond combat potential. The reactions were mixed. Many humans were thrilled. Peace with the Vokrin Third Fleet meant safety for millions. Trade routes would open. Opportunities would emerge. Ambassador Park Min-ho worked day and night on the treaty details, his earlier stress replaced with excited energy. But not all Vokrin were happy. Many saw this as betrayal, weakness, the corruption of their pure warrior culture by soft human ideas. Lord Woojin was the loudest voice against it. 3 weeks after Daeho's announcement, Woojin made his move. He challenged Daeho's authority in the traditional way. A formal combat challenge. A fight to the death. Winner takes command of the fleet. The challenge was announced publicly. By Vokrin law, Daeho had to accept, or lose, all authority. He accepted. Hana heard the news in her kitchen. She was preparing evening meals when Junho burst in, his face pale. "Did you hear?" he asked breathlessly. "Hear what?" Woojin challenged Daeho. "They're going to fight. Tomorrow. On the Blackthorn. It's being broadcast to the whole fleet." Hana felt cold. "Fight? You mean kill each other?" That's how Vokrin settle leadership disputes. To the death. Junho sat down heavily. If Woojin wins, the treaty is dead. Everything Daeho was building. Gone. And Hana, Woojin blames you for all of this. He calls you the human corruption. Me? Hana's hands shook. I just made soup. You changed the warlord's mind. You made him question Vokrin traditions. To Woojin and others like him, that's worse than any weapon. That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Daeho, about Taemin, about everything that had happened. Had she caused this? Was trying to help really so wrong? She got up and walked through the quiet station corridors. Her Vokrin guards followed silently. She ended up in one of the observation decks, staring out at the stars. You should not worry. Hana jumped and turned. Daeho stood behind her. Without his armor, just his natural carapace, he looked less like a warlord and more like a tired father. How did you know I was here? Hana asked. Your guards told me. Daeho moved to the window, looking out at his ship floating in the darkness. You are worried about tomorrow, aren't you? I am always ready to fight. It is what I am. But you might die. Yes. Daeho's voice was calm. That is the risk of challenge. Because of me, Hana said quietly. Because I gave Taemin soup. Because I asked you to see humans differently. No. Daeho said firmly. Because I chose to see humans differently. You showed me something. Yes. But the choice to change was mine. Do not take my responsibility from me. They stood in silence for a moment. Outside, stars burned in the endless night. Why did you choose to change? Hana asked. Really? Daiho was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was softer than Hana had ever heard it. I have conquered planets. I have won 1,000 battles. I command the respect and fear of countless species. But when my son was taken, all my power meant nothing. I could not find him. I could not help him. I felt helpless. He turned to look at her. Then a human, with no power, no weapons, no fleet, did what I could not. You saved my heir with nothing but kindness. That made me question everything I believed about strength. Kindness isn't weakness, Hana said. I know that now. Tomorrow, I will prove it. The fight was held in the main hangar of the Blackthorn. The entire Vokran crew gathered to watch. Humans were allowed to observe via live broadcast. Hana watched from a special viewing room with Park Minho, Junho, and other officials. Taemin sat beside her, his small body tense. Hana held his claw gently. The hangar had been cleared to create a large fighting space. Daiho and Woojin entered from opposite sides. Both wore minimal armor, just enough to protect vital areas. The fight would be with natural weapons, claws, mandibles, and strength. A Vokran elder spoke the formal words. The challenge was declared valid. The fight began. Woojin attacked first, young and fast. His claws swept toward Daiho's throat. But Daiho moved with surprising speed for his size, deflecting the blow and countering with a strike to Woojin's side. The sound of chitin hitting chitin echoed through the hangar. They circled each other. Woojin's mandibles clicked aggressively. You have grown soft, old warrior. The human has poisoned your mind. She has opened my eyes, Daiho replied. There is a difference. They clashed again. This time, Woojin managed to score a hit, his claws raking across Daiho's shoulder. Dark blood flowed. Taemin made a distressed sound. Hana squeezed his claw reassuringly, though her own heart was pounding. The fight continued. Both warriors were skilled. Both strong. They traded blows, each landing strikes, each taking damage. The watching Vokran clicked and hummed, a sound like approval and anxiety mixed together. You fight for weakness, Woojin shouted, pressing his attack. For a future where Vokran are soft and broken. Daiho blocked a strike and pushed Woojin back. I fight for a future where we are more than just destroyers. Where my son can choose his own path. Paths are for the weak. Warriors need only one path. Conquest. And when there is nothing left to conquer, Daiho asked. When we have destroyed everything, what then? Who will we be? The question seemed to enrage Woojin. He attacked with renewed fury, all precision abandoned for raw aggression. But aggression without control is weakness. Daiho saw the opening. He caught Woojin's arm mid-strike, twisted, and threw the younger Vokran to the ground. Woojin crashed hard, stunned. Daiho placed one massive foot on Woojin's chest, his claws at the fallen warrior's throat. The hangar went silent. This was the moment. By tradition, Daiho should kill Woojin now. It was expected. It was the law. Daiho raised his claw high. Everyone watched. Woojin closed his eyes, accepting death. The claw came down, but not at Woojin's throat. Instead, Daiho struck the ground beside Woojin's head, cracking the metal floor. No, Daiho said loudly. I will not kill you. The hangar erupted in confused clicking and chittering. This was unprecedented. I learned something from a human, Daiho continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the hangar. She taught me that mercy can be strength, that choosing not to kill, when you have the power to kill, is the greatest show of control. He looked down at Woojin. You challenged me because you fear change. But I will not kill you for fear. Instead, I exile you. Leave my fleet. Find another way to live. Perhaps, in time, you will understand. He stepped back, releasing Wujin. The defeated warrior stood slowly, clearly confused and humiliated. Without a word, Wujin walked from the hangar. The watching Vokrin parted to let him pass. Daeho turned to face his crew. I am still your commander, but I will lead us to a new future. One where we are strong enough to choose peace when it serves us. Strong enough to build alliances. Strong enough to learn from others, even species we once considered weak. The clicking sounds from the crew were uncertain at first. Then one, Vokrin, began a rhythmic clicking that meant approval. Another joined. Then another. Soon the entire hangar filled with the sound. In the viewing room, Hana let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Taemin chittered happily and hugged her arm. He did it, Park Minho said, amazed. The treaty was signed 1 week later, in a formal ceremony on Station Themis 7. Daeho and Park Minho put their marks on the document. Cameras from a dozen species recorded the moment. The treaty included many provisions. No military aggression, open trade routes, cultural exchanges, and the establishment of human aid stations in Vokrin space. But the part that mattered most to Hana was simpler. Both species agreed to try understanding each other. After the ceremony, there was a celebration. For the first time, humans and Vokrin gathered together peacefully, sharing food and drink. It was awkward at first, but gradually, conversations began. Hana stood to the side, watching. She had been asked to attend but felt out of place among ambassadors and officials. She was just about to leave when Taemin found her. Hana. The child ran up, followed by his guards. Father wants you to come. Daeho stood in the center of the celebration hall, surrounded by both humans and Vokrin. When he saw Hana, he gestured for her to approach. Nervously, she walked forward. Everyone fell silent, watching. Yun Hana, Daeho said formally. You are the reason we stand here today. Your simple act of kindness created ripples that became waves. On behalf of the Vokrin Third Fleet, I thank you. He reached into his armor and pulled out something small. It was a medallion, made of dark metal, carved with intricate patterns. This is a warrior's mark, Daeho explained. It signifies honor, courage, and respect. It is rarely given to non-Vokrin. But you have earned it. You faced a warlord for the sake of a child. You stood your ground when you could have run. You changed an empire with nothing but soup and kindness. He held out the medallion. Wear this, and know that you are always welcome among the Vokrin. Hana took the medallion with shaking hands. It was heavy, solid, real. She looked at it, then at Daeho, then at all the faces watching her, both human and Vokrin. I just helped a child, she said quietly. That's all. That's everything, Daeho replied. 3 years later, Station Themis 7 was very different. The lower decks were no longer forgotten. Hana's relief center had expanded into a full cultural exchange facility. Humans taught Vokrin about medicine and care. Vokrin taught humans about endurance and discipline. The station became a symbol of the new alliance. Hana still ran her kitchen, still served soup, still helped refugees. But now she had assistants, both human and Vokrin. The space was bigger, the supplies more plentiful, but the mission stayed the same. Help those who need it. Taemin, now older and training to one-day command, still visited regularly. He worked in the kitchen alongside Hana, learning that leadership meant service as much as it meant strength. Other species noticed. They saw humans and Vokrin working together and wondered if peace might be possible for them too. Slowly, more species joined what became known as the Themis Accord, an alliance built not on military might, but on mutual understanding and respect. One evening, as Hana was closing the kitchen, a small alien child entered. The child was from a species Hana didn't recognize, with blue skin and large eyes. The child was crying, lost and alone. Hana smiled. She had been here before. She knelt down to the child's level. Hey, she said softly. It's okay. You're safe now. Are you hungry? I have soup. The child looked at her with frightened eyes. Hana reached out slowly, offering her hand. After a moment, the child took it. Some things never changed. Children got lost. People got scared. And sometimes, all it took to change the world was a bowl of warm soup and a kind word. As Hana led the child to the kitchen, she thought about how far they had all come. From one crying cub to an alliance of worlds. From fear and hatred to understanding and peace. It had all started with soup. And it would continue, one bowl at a time. That was enough. That had always been enough.